Fine.
You should set your news to ping you. I got it in there pretty quick.
Thank you for putting it in there. All right, we're back. Talking Station's back. I don't know how many viewers we have, if anybody. But this just came up. We have to look at it. No, that's not. Eve Echoes starts the beta. That's what I have here. Okay, some news. Oh, wait, let's go back into 2. Sorry, guys, back into 2. Okay, we are back. It's still December 2nd. Sorry, we have to right when we were getting off, we found out a couple new pieces of information. Eve Echoes was released today. We didn't mention that. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But today, and this is just fresh off the press, as of December Wednesday 4th, no downtime.
Just did one day, not forever.
Oh no, it's just one day.
It's an experiment.
They're doing it. They want to do a 48-hour run, starting December 4th and then ending December 5th. I think they want to see what the downtime does with the activity. And obviously, we all know that Hilmar is very focused on the Asian market at the moment, and the downtime is smack in the middle of the Asian time zone. Well, at the start of it, I guess. And I guess he just wants to turn it off for that reason. I'm being the devil's advocate here, right?
It's very interesting.
I personally, I don't know, I've never seen him tweet as much about FanFest or any other EVE meet than he has tweeted from the whatever it was called in Korea. I just feel I feel a bit abandoned, in the sense that I don't understand why. It's good for the game to bring more people in, no question asked about that, but I don't know. I feel like
just tell us how you feel.
I'm a bit worried. If obviously it makes sense with PA and everything, right? And they have the connections now. They have people that actually talk Korean and shit like that, so they can communicate way better over there. So it would completely make sense. I get it. I'm not stupid, but I don't know. I would have hoped that he had the same passion for EVE before the whole Asian market opened up to him. Basically, I feel like it feels a bit bad because the game felt like a bit abandoned at times in between.
Okay, so you think he's giving a lot more attention to the Asian market possibilities?
Because that's where the money is, man. Because at the end of the day, the Asian market is huge. It works great with microtransactions. You can just farm so much money. Some of the most successful games, period, in terms of revenue, are Asian games that aren't even available in Europe and America. For example, a game that's only available in Korea and I think some other Asian countries called Lost Ark or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit like Diablo. It's a super good game. I'm actually so mad we can't play it in Europe, because it looks like the best version of Diablo and PoE combined, basically, with a bit more futuristic style, and it looks fucking great. I think I would enjoy it a lot. It's not available, and that game just makes so much money. And it's kind of sad that, I get it, again, from a company standpoint, it totally makes sense, but
so
I'm just hoping that it's going to be a positive thing overall for New Eden. I'm hoping that we're not going to work on stuff that caters the Asian community and kind of forgets about the players that have been on TQ forever.
So do you think he's trading the fan base for an Asian fan base, for EVE Online?
That would be very extreme to say, but I mean, sort of.
That's very interesting. But what we're looking at here as evidence of it, let's look at it as evidence, right? You could say that the gambling thing is that something that's particular to Asian markets? Or does that have nothing to do with it?
Okay. I'm not sure.
All right, we'll put that aside. And what about this new downtime? You made a very interesting point that you want to clear downtime up because now it's in the middle of an important growth section.
New market, yeah, exactly. It's very much. I'm not actually sure. 1100 EVE time. Let me open up my time zone calculator. So let's see time zones. So let's go to Iceland.
While
Let's
you
just
do that.
say Korea, I guess. And so 1100 Eve time is 8 p.m. Korean time.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah, it's
literally
Korean prime.
right in
Wow.
the middle. Yeah.
So now they're doing experiments on removing downtime this Wednesday, December
And it's 7
4th.
p.m. China, sorry. So it's also China prime.
Yeah. So, and it's only 15 minutes now, right? But it's still an interruption.
It makes people log off. It makes people go AFK. It makes people stop playing the game because they're like, okay, it's. I remember when downtime was a bit longer than it is now, when it used to be like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I would basically say, it's about to be downtime. And you have to remember, for me, downtime is like 12 a.m., I guess is what you say. No, is it
Mhm.
12 p.m., whatever? It's in the middle of the day, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was always like, all right, now I can go make lunch or something, right? So basically, downtime happened. I went to make lunch and I ended up going somewhere. I basically didn't play the game for a couple of hours. And that's what it's going to be like for those people as well, right? Especially if it's in prime time for them. Maybe, you have the option, either you stay in, play Eve, or you have option B, you go out with your friends. If Eve would stay online, maybe there would be a fleet fight, you would stay home, play Eve. But now you think, oh, there's about to be downtime, I might as well go drink a couple of beers or whatever. And then you are gone for a couple hours, right? Obviously, they want people to play the game as long as possible. And downtime currently is in the middle of Chinese and Korean prime time. So I feel like that's obviously a very big reason for them to eliminate it, just so they don't have a cut in the prime time of Australians as well, by the way. Although Australians obviously a very small portion of the game. Like I said, I feel like they're focusing on the Asian market at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be a big reason to push for this.
Yeah. Well, it's been something they've been working on or wanted to do for a long, long time. It wasn't possible. So, no downtime Wednesday is a test. It's a 1-day test to see if it's possible to do it.
Yeah, CCP Explorer he indicates there are some technical challenges why we have a downtime, and that's what they're looking to overcome. He did indicate that there's a secondary solution, might be just to move it to a different time, but they're really aiming at eliminating it entirely. And it looks like this is the first real test to see what happens if you leave the servers up for 48 hours.
Mm-hmm. This is Arya, by the way.
This line I just pasted to you in Discord is
Yeah.
from the dev blog, right? So they talk about where they could possibly move downtime, look at the activity, where's the least activity, where could you possibly move downtime for it to affect the least people. And at the end of its section, he says, so all choices are bad, but it must be acknowledged that Asia currently gets the short end of the stick, right? So they even mention Asia.
Yep, definitely.
Dev blog. Yeah.
So that's definitely a motivator to cut out this downtime. Or maybe they move it to American prime time, like US prime time.
I would love more Asians in general. Chinese have turned out to be great parts of the EVE community. They always
right.
deliver fights. I think they're great for content. I'm in no way against Asian people at all. It just, like I said, to me it feels like, from again, just the amount of like excitement I saw from Hilmar. He has been incredibly active and excited about this whole Korean. What was it called, man? The Korean Gamescom, I guess, is the equivalent of the Gamescom or E3 in Korea, right?
Yeah, I forgot the name.
Where he
of it.
was at G something, I can't remember.
G-Pack
Right,
or
and then it just never happened that much with stuff that like FanFest, for example, and I feel like that's a bit sad. And again, him being excited for the game at all is great, right? So maybe, well, it might be great. Then again,
I don't
Blackout
know.
also,
He's been kind of made the boogeyman for at least the Imperium and INN. They tend to look at Hilmar as
Yeah,
like bad, and then Rise is good, and there's a contrast there. And they
from my POV, obviously I haven't been on a CSM for a while now, so I don't know what happened internally, if anything has changed. But from my POV, that is not like a wrong opinion to have, right? Most of the rather poor development decisions, example as well, the Blackout, has basically mostly been Hilmar's doing, right? And in the sense that obviously Hilmar doesn't actually do that himself, the coding or whatever, but
Mhm.
he says, okay, I want this to happen, I want to see what happens, right? The whole chaos era thing is basically him just pointing his gun, basically shooting blindfolded in random directions. At least that's what it looks like or looked like to me, because Hilmar has been so disconnected from the game, right? Again, I get so triggered every time Hilmar gives a presentation somewhere. He did it on this Korean conference again as well, by the way. He always starts this presentations with this picture of him playing Eve 20 years ago or whatever, when it was like in the super early stages with his kid on his lap, right? And
Mhm.
this unfortunate thing is that is basically when he last played the game actively, right? At least I know he's been playing the game for the last year now, fairly active, but before that, he hasn't touched Eve in like years properly, right? So and now he's basically, and again I'm talking in extremes here, right? So now he's basically a year-old newbie, quote unquote, in Eve, and he's making all the decisions, and it just cannot work, right? And that's technically where the CSM comes in. The problem is that Hilmar doesn't really Hilmar doesn't ask the CSM for their opinions, right? He just makes decisions, which is his he can do that as a CEO, obviously, but uh, I wish he would consult with more experienced people. Maybe just not even the CSM. Talk to the devs then, right? Some of the devs I know
Mhm.
were really shocked about the blackout, right? They didn't know about I mean, obviously they knew what was coming, but the whole idea behind it when they got presented with the first idea, they were like, "Oh, this is ambitious," that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So it's you know, maybe please, you have a very experienced player base, you have some very, and that's why INN makes Rise to be the good guy, because Rise is one of the most senior, most experienced of the devs he has right now. And while Rise, and I really like about Rise that he's very open about what he knows about the game, what he doesn't know about the game.
Mhm.
He actually has played the game and has always played the game fairly active, right? He only does small scale, and that was actually super great. When we started talking about capital changes, right? Basically, what Rise did is he came to us, to me, and some other more experienced capital FCs, and he said, "Look, guys, I hear you. I hear that capitals are broken in a way at the moment, but I have no idea about capitals. Please tell me what's wrong with them." And then Willy sat down with him and some other people, and they fully went through the whole thing, what currently might be considered broken, right? And some of the recent changes we've seen, like the Boson nerf, are definitely basically concluded straight from those talks. So Rise is very sensible in that way, that he has actually played the game very actively ever since, at least I know, he's been a dev as well, right? And then he's never really stopped playing the game, basically. And he has also asked very experienced people for their opinions. And as far as I can tell, again, I don't know what has changed or if that is true at all, but at least from my POV, what I saw as a CSM, him didn't do anything like that at all. He did what he thought was right. And I think
Mhm.
that's bad.
Okay, from the opposite point of view, you feel listened to by Rise, right?
Yes.
And that's important because I remember that CSM that you were on had a tough time their very first session saying, "Well, why do we even bother coming here if you're not going to listen to us?" And that was the first day. And then the second day they, I think, assured you guys that they were open to listening to you guys, and you guys felt like it was a great summit.
Yeah, the first day was really bad in the sense that, basically they said they wanted to do some stuff that we'd all previously said they shouldn't do and it would be bad ideas. And we were like, okay, so basically what you just presented us with was all the things we told you you shouldn't do last time, and you decided to just go ahead with them anyways. And like, what's the point, right? And we got really upset about that. And first evening, we went out to a bar with Svenny, who was still at the company at the time. RIP, by the way, CCP guard.
Yeah.
Well, that's his name is Svenny. Um, and we went out with him and some others, and we expressed in the bar our very, very deep concerns and also our frustration with him. And he went around and talked to some people, and the next day, it was basically flipped around. So that was great.
You guys felt listened to.
Yeah.
Okay. From an outsider's perspective, that's worrisome to me. That is, for you, it seems like a victory. To me, it feels worrisome because now you have a CSM that's pretty much nullsec guys. Yeah, they can think for other gameplays, but not really.
Really can't. Yeah, that's also an illusion. Like 0-0 people trying to represent high sec people can't work because we don't really play. It's like people in high sec. When I see people from high sec or from low sec talk about 0-0, 90% of what these people say is wrong because they just don't know. They think they know, but they don't. Right? To quote a nice
Right.
Blizzard person here. Um, and that is the same thing for us the other way around. So what we try as 0-0 people, when we try to represent other sections of the game, we try to talk to very experienced people from those sections we know that aren't, full of shit. So we talk, sorry for cussing. We talk to them and they give us some honest feedback, and then we try to give that to CCP. The problem is when CCP asks us any kind of follow-up questions, we can't really share those follow-up questions with those experienced people because that's an NDA problem.
Mm.
And we don't know, we can't answer the follow-up questions. So I totally agree that you can't really represent high sec or any other sector of the game with 0-0 only people. But my opinion on that has also been very long-standing and clear, is that like if high sec wants a candidate, go get one in. If low sec wants a candidate, go get one in. It's possible. If all of low sec votes for one guy, he's gonna get in 100%.
Seems
Right?
unlikely though, right? Because
Yeah, but that's their problem. The reason that has never happened before is because the egos are too big, and people, like as an example, people from Snuff would never vote for a candidate that comes from Shadow Cartel, right? Because they have been eternal rivals, and they're like, we can't vote for this guy. And
right.
that's why I tried. That's why I asked Goons as well to put me on their ballot, even though I was only on number 8 of their spot, and I think I got 5 votes from Imperium, actually, like 5 counted votes by being number 8 on their list, right? But that's why I wanted to send a message as well. We are probably like you can't be much more rival than NC Dot and Goons in this game, right? This is probably one of the longest standing rivalries in the game, period, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except maybe Ursha Khan and Provi. It's probably a bit older. But and yet they put me on the ballot because they recognized me as an experienced person that would represent their playstyle well. And if you really care about the CSM, if you think that the CSM has a value, then you should put your in-game ego aside, and you should just think of for the better of whatever you like about Eve, and you should get somebody voted in. It is possible. Again, if most of lowsec doesn't have to, obviously all of lowsec, whatever, but if most of the big lowsec blocks that exist now decide to put one candidate on the number one ballot of their on the number one spot of their ballot, then he will be in, guaranteed, right? And it's the same for high sec, although I have no idea if there's any coordination between high sec groups at all. And then the same for wormholes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it with Omega. Omega has been fighting it's actually really cool, right? Because we've been presenting stuff, or we've been giving opinions with the 0-0 people, and Omega has always had a different view, a different opinion sometimes on those issues, because he comes from the complete opposite part of 0-0 than what me or Aerith or Sword come from, because we're the block guys and he's the fishing guy, right? The underdog, the umbrella guy, the gorilla guy, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So just get more of those people in. Like I understand that it's a very it's basically like saying, well, if you don't want Trump to be president, just vote for the other guy. It's a bit annoying if you hear stuff like that, but it's very much possible to be voted into the CSM. And if you really don't like the CSM being 8 people of nullsec, then just get your shit together. Shit. Oh, sorry, and vote for somebody, right? And I think it's possible, and then it will work.
Omega is yes, in theory, if you don't like representation, change it. But in theory, it doesn't work because you have, and this is work to Omega's benefit, that this is not an election by people for people. It's an election of accounts for people. And so if people who have multiple accounts all decide on one person, that person has more votes. That's, I think, what helped Omega.
That's one more way to get into the CSM, by the way. So if you're like filthy rich in real life, you can just create yourself so many accounts that you can just vote yourself in. All you need is like 2,400. It's not that many.
Yeah. All right, we'll pick up this topic later on, but I like I said, the more CSM has influence, the more I feel like it's a myopic view that's having influence. And once the game gets to a point where I feel like any team from Horde or Goon Swarm or Test, like if they're the ones setting the agenda, setting the priorities for Rise, then I feel like the game is rigged and I don't want to play that game. I'd rather go fuck off and do something else. Oh, can't believe I said that.
No, even you started it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I poisoned you.
Yes, it's a virus. But that's how
Like the
I
Talking
feel.
Stations after show.
Yeah, this is right. No liquor, just morning haze. Anyway, so we turned this show back on because we have a new announcement that we wanted to get to. No downtime on Wednesday, December 4th, as a test to try to take away downtime because, as Killa B pointed out, it's right in the middle of Asian time zone, and that is detrimental to their growth, possibly. I think it's a very interesting point. I would have to read it to know. And Arya, thanks very much for bringing this to our attention. The reason we had a second show is because right when we were logging off, these things came out. Another thing that came out real quick is that this is already full, but the beta for Eve Echoes is out. And that started today on the 2nd. It is for iOS. I thought it was just for Android. I wish I had known that. So I'll try to get in on it, but I don't think I can. I think it's too late. But Eve Echoes is potentially.
I haven't kept
lucrative.
my tabs on that at all. Like it's basically like an Eve for the phone, right? Except it's not actually Eve; it's a different server. But it is
Exactly.
basically like a phone Eve, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I mean, that could be cool.
Yeah, you could
Playing
take it
in
with
the
you.
bus or something. Play. Yeah, I would probably play it at break time at work or something. It actually doesn't sound all that bad.
Yep, absolutely. It's not good for you to sit in a chair for hour after hour after hour. So if you can get up from your chair, walk around, and have the game with you, it becomes a whole nother dimension to the game. In fact,
yeah, obviously, as long as it won't be connected to TQ, then it's basically irrelevant, and I don't think people will take it as seriously, except
not at
maybe Asian people.
first.
But
Not at first, but I do know. I had a nephew that came to visit, and he was sitting on the couch. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm playing this Marvel game, and I have a little not corporation, but I have a little gang of
Guild.
friends, yeah, guild, and we coordinate with each other." And he was just obsessed with it, and I was like, "That to me looks like the kind of thing that happens in EVE Online, except he was doing it on his mobile device. It was the Marvel universe or something."
Yeah,
And he's building up his character with stuff.
Mobile games are very big as well in Asia because of the big commuting times they have over there sometimes, and the fact that some people. It's really interesting. I read up a huge when the whole Diablo Immortal shitstorm happened, right, in the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I got really curious about why because I researched a little bit when Diablo Immortal was announced, and I realized that basically the mobile market makes or mobile games in general make so much more money than regular computer games. And I tried to find out why that is, and I went into it's so funny if you think about what goes into these kind of thoughts, right? Because has something to do with commuting time, and especially in China.
Yeah.
A lot of people work in Shanghai, but they can't afford to live in Shanghai, so they live outside. I think the average commuting time in China is something like 50 minutes or something, and we're talking about 1 billion people, right? So I think that's insane. Um, and the average person takes an hour to get to work. It's nowhere near that in Germany, for example. Like I would say the average commuting time in Germany is probably like 10 minutes or something.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's weird, right? And then also something that I read up on is that a lot of the people that live in the cities in Asia, they have very, very small apartments over there. Some can't even fit a computer in their apartment, which is why they just play games on their mobile phone. And all these factors are basically accounting for the Asian market just being a huge consumer of mobile games, which is why you have all these mobile games pop up uh, coming from Asia as well, or being developed by Asian companies and then brought to the European and American market on top of the Korean market already, or the Asian market in general. And they make a lot of money. I've had a streamer tell me basically he got approached by a mobile gaming company to play that mobile game on his stream. He was a pretty decent sized streamer. He gets like 2,500 people on average. So he's not like a huge streamer on Twitch, but he's basically an average, above average, decent streamer. And he was offered to play this. He was told, if you play this mobile game on your stream for 5 hours at your peak viewer time, when you have like 2.5K viewers, we'll give you $10,000 an hour. The mobile game was going to pay, the mobile company was going to pay him $10,000 an hour to play their mobile game on his stream while he had, 2,500 or 3,000 views or something. So that is a lot of money.
That is.
That is like, if he would have played that game for like 4 hours or whatever it said in the contract, that was $40K bucks. Some people don't make that in a year. Yeah.
Yeah. I do know from working in advertising that the budgets that advertising is suggesting and basically is projected to happen from companies to athletes that play games, basically,
Insane,
is going up to, I think it's going to be over, in 2020, it should be about 20 billion. Right now, I think it's like, I think it's, anyway, it's between 15 and 20 billion that they're going to invest in this, because it looks very good for a company to be involved in forward-thinking technology, forward-thinking trends. And this is something that's considered on its way up. It hasn't crested yet.
A little example here. I can't really go into detail, obviously, but my company that I work for, we have the exclusive marketing rights for all Star Wars, exclusive marketing rights in retailing, right, in Germany now, for all Star Wars merch and promotion stuff. Because obviously there's a new Star Wars movie coming out. Star Wars, even though the new movies are considered pretty garbage, at least by older fans and me as well, is still the biggest movie franchise in the world, and it's insane amounts of money, right? And basically my company, which is the largest retailer in Germany and the fourth largest retailer in the world based on revenue, we bought the exclusive rights to use Star Wars as a marketing tool, right? And we have like collectors cards, a little bit like Magic trading cards. We have those with Star Wars themed stuff in our store. You could get it if you buy 10 euros worth of stuff like food. You get a free booster pack where you get 3 cards in it, or something like that, right? We did all that, and obviously the asking price from Disney was very high. We paid a lot of money for that, but it's going to be worth it, right? Like we have projected big growth in customers just because of this huge campaign, right? It comes with an app, it comes with a virtual reality glasses and everything. Like, it's insane what they invested into it. And that's all just marketing, right? And that's just one company basically, and it happens all around the world. So it's just a giant sector. It's crazy.
I mean, look, it's this simple. You look at where the population is and you want to get your advertising in front of their nose, and you want their eyeballs and attention on what you're trying to sell them. This is what happens all over the world all the time. It's I don't like it. I think it's terrible. I still end up having to work in it because it's part of the industry that I'm a part of. And there's a lot of people
interested in that kind of stuff, but obviously now it's my job to be interested in it as well, and I actually find it interesting too. So it's a very cool topic, I think.
Yeah, and it goes deep, and it's social, and it's also technological. So there's a lot of aspects to it. And I think video games now, you have a full generation and a half that, by generation, the people who are my age and their children, and even the young kids are all, it's being normalized. Video games as entertainment, as storytelling, as places to put your products and stuff. So
I remember being bullied for playing World of Warcraft in middle school, and nowadays if you don't play Fortnite in middle school, you're getting bullied basically. So
it's the opposite.
The table has turned.
Yeah it's the opposite. And it's been building for a long time. So the idea that you can put a game that's complex like EVE Online on a phone it's going to happen. It's already happening. EVE Echoes just came out. It's being alpha tested, I think, but it's coming. And so is that whole trend. And people are definitely going to be using their phones. And I'll just say this. The one thing, I saw a review of Skyrim, and by this guy who said, I love Skyrim. There was just something about it that I couldn't really get fully into. And it was like a PC Gamer article. He said, until I played it on Nintendo's, what's it called? Their little device.
The Switch.
Switch. He said when he played him, that game, that open world game on the Switch, thank you. He said that's when it really came together, because the problem with Skyrim is that you have to walk away from the world. At some point, you got to get up and do something. And that was the problem with playing it. So when you could take it with you, the world became, it's just something you pull out of your pocket. And so you could access it all the time. And that was what really, those two things, the mobility and taking the world with you and the virtual world of Skyrim, were a great combination. So I think that is a powerful combination that you're going to see. EVE Online in your pocket is going to be a very powerful incentive to get good and to play it and to put money into it. So I don't know. I think they're looking for that short-term casual money.
For Eve Echoes, there's already videos going up on YouTube. So if you're interested, you can watch Eve players try out Echoes. I'm seeing a lot of people in Discord trying it out. I think it's more popular than I think what we let on. I think a lot of people said, oh, Eve Echoes, it's a second Eve. It's not joined, or it's not important. But an awful lot of people are trying it out. And I did see some tweets. I think I saw Wingspan said, you got 80% of the game into Eve Echoes. He seemed surprised by that. So I haven't checked out personally, but there are videos out there, and they're interesting to see.
Well, let's hope it's the good 80%. Very interesting. Again, we have a whole channel dedicated to Eve Echoes. We're big on Eve Echoes. We want to support it and be a part of that as well. And so you can check out that channel. It's going gangbusters today and probably into the future. So check that out. Killer B, thanks for coming by again. Let's do this more often. And thank you guys for watching. I am actually going to shut this off. We did a second show real quick to talk about a few things. One, you have no downtime on Wednesday. It's going to be a test for no downtime, possibly forever, because they need to do that for the Asian market so they don't get interrupted while they're playing. And two, Eve Echoes come out as an alpha. So that looks like it's already sold out, though, or they've closed it, I think, but we'll check. iOS or Android, you might want to get in on it if you still can. So it's open beta starts now. And then we also went into CCP Rise, CSM, and some of the development path of CCP and what's going on there. This was our second show. What's that?
Go on. I was just going to say I should totally plug the Summer Club while we're here. I don't know if you heard about it at all.
I did, but don't, because we may be in competition with you. If you do that. Like Talking in Stations doesn't know what it's going to do about the HyperNet relay if we're going to get into the casino type business or anything like that.
I'll tell you off stream then a bit. It's pretty cool.
I have heard about it, but yeah, let's talk about it. And again, if you want to hang out with us, Talking in Stations Discord, we just passed 3,000 and we gave $1 billion ISK to the guy that put us over, and now we're well past 3,000 members inside of Talking in Stations. And you can find all this and more at talkinginstations.com. So thanks very much for listening, and we will see you.